Hello and welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is the show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I got to sit down with the alternative band Blue Frequency. Without any further ado, here's the interview. First off, again, thank you guys so much for being on here. Individually, real quick, I wanted to ask you each, what is your first musical memory? Kind of like, what is the first memory you have of playing music? It's a big question, I know.
Oh, man. My mom, when I was, pretty young, I was probably like 7 or 8 or something, maybe even younger. But my mom came home one day. For some reason, she had my grandfather's old, like 1960 something Yamaha acoustic guitar. I don't know why she brought it home. I do not remember, but I remember thinking like, that's really cool. I want to be able to play that. And I would just kind of like, it was too big for me to really play. And the intonation and action on the actual guitar itself, the strings are like stupid high off the fretboard. So it was physically impossible for me to really play at that age, but I like really, really wanted to play it. And so I would just kind of sit next to it while like a James Taylor CD was on. And I would just kind of like pluck at the strings. That's the earliest thing I can remember.
I used to go to my grandparents and they had a piano. Just like, all right, grandparents, they have a piano, a little nice Wurlitzer that my mom like grew up playing. Yeah. And yeah, that's the first one I played, or first musical memory I have of me playing.
I don't know what my first playing memory is. I remember I started playing. I remember my parents asking me, like saying, you should play an instrument. What instrument do you want to play? They wanted to enrich me. Like obviously that's a good thing. But I don't have a first memory of like playing.
My dad's a musician, so I was always kind of around all of that stuff. The main memory I have is of him letting me do the right hand strumming on the Who's Can't Explain, as he did all the hard fingering parts, and I was just sitting there literally facing the guitar, just strumming in the dumbest way possible. And that's how I got where I am today. Really.
That kind of leads into the next question I was going to ask, is kind of like, individually, how did you start playing the instrument that you guys play now? Like, was that just something you kind of fell into? Was it something that you really set into? And it's like, I really want to play the guitar. I really want to play the drums. I really want to sing. I don't know. How did that happen?
I play the drums for this band because they needed a drummer.
That's always how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not that much of a drummer. I started to be over the last 5 years, but initially I was not. I was more of a guitar player, and I still kind of am more of a guitar player. But
Eric and I started this band, just us two and a drummer, and the drummer quit. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but Julian was literally the only drummer that we it worked out great. Like, I'm glad if there's one person who knows a drummer, it worked out great. But that's kind of how that happened. And then
out of necessity.
Yeah. And then we needed a singer too, and so Julian.
I knew Lee. I was in a band with Lee, and then I think Lee and I were in a metal band together, and a week before your old drummer quit, one of the singers for our band that we were in was like, let's take a hiatus. I was like, okay.
Yeah, we were getting
and it was like the same 2 weeks. It was all kind of happened.
Yeah, it was really actually at the time it really sucked, but it was like this weird sort of things just kind of fell into place.
Yeah, it was weird.
Sometimes bad things lead to good things, and I think
Yeah, so I tried out, and they said yes, and then I was like, well, Lee's a good singer, so we should get Lee in. And they didn't know Lee. Yeah, he was a good singer.
He is a good singer, man. Yeah.
The first time I ever sang in front of anybody, since we're kind of talking about the musical memories, was just in rock band, because I had sung like alone before, and I thought it would be really cool to sing like in a band, but I was so scared to sing in front of people. And
Singing is the scariest one.
singing is just Now it's just it is what it is.
We watched
just do it.
home
But
movies of him yesterday that his mom took of a battle of the bands at Lincoln Theater.
yeah, I played Lincoln
Yeah,
Theater
and
when I was
like,
14. And
What year? 2007?
2009.
Oh, 9. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I butchered that, but
Yeah.
I was 14. So what do you expect?
Eric?
I went to bass because I have small hands, and it was hard for me to literally grab chords. That's my fun story about being a bass player instead of a guitar player.
That was going to be my next question, kind of asking you how did the band form, but it kind of just sounded like you guys were all in separate bands and it just kind of happened. Is that just kind of what happened? Is like it just kind of fell into place, or did you all kind of get together and say maybe we should start this thing? Like how exactly did the forming of Blue Frequency happen?
Well, I started playing with Spencer when we were 14-ish.
Something like
14 and a half,
freshman year of high
15.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was our freshman year of high school. And I had made a Facebook post asking if anyone wanted to play bass with me while I played guitar. And I met a drummer in my English class. And we had started playing together that way. And then Spencer said he knew someone, one of the teacher's sons at Harry's.
Eric's dad taught me guitar lessons.
Yeah. Spencer, Eric, and I Eric, was Busy Waiting your first band?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we were all in each other's first band.
Except for me.
And then
not me.
Lee was doing his own thing, and I met Lee
At church camp.
At church camp. Yeah.
Oh, what church camp?
Camp Caroline, and then there's another one called Christmount.
Oh yeah.
It's Matt Lee, and Lee was in his own band called the Graffiti Monkeys.
Yeah.
So
Let's plug all of our old bands. that
Yeah.
we're embarrassed of.
Well, I started playing with a metal project that Lee was a part of because Busy Waiting wasn't really doing much. And then so I played with Lee's band for a while, and then Eric and Spencer started playing with another drummer. Yeah, and then
back to where we were
back
before.
to where we said before, where things kind of fell into place after that.
So we talked a little bit about kind of like how you guys started with your music and everything, and kind of how you guys formed. What is your writing process like? Do you guys tend to go write songs individually, or do you tend to kind of like write as a group together and like when you practice and stuff? I don't know. How does that go?
We have a SoundCloud that we, we don't. I guess we have some of our music on there, like for other people, but we just
It's mostly private.
Yeah, it's mostly like private tracks, and we upload the tracks to SoundCloud and put them private, and like little like, oh, I like this chord progression or whatever, or Lee, when he does it, he'll write more of a full song because he's the singer too, so it'll come up as more of like here's the verse and a chorus with lyrics and stuff. Yeah, we just kind of stick them in there, and then sometimes it'll be a full song, or sometimes it'll just be
just nuggets.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be like a little nugget, and somebody else will finish it, or sometimes we'll put something in there and then you don't get to work on it for a few months, and then in that time you'll think of an ending to your own song and you'll write it. So yeah, it's pretty collaborative. It's usually we don't do a lot of jamming. We're not a band that all right, let's hang out and jam on this for a little bit and see what comes out. We don't really do that at all. It's very much I have this little idea, think of what you want to add to it, and then let's do that.
Lee, I think I might as well hop on that real quick as far as your lyricism and everything, because you have a really distinct voice. I can definitely hear your metal past in your vocals and everything, especially in that song "Sleep,"
Yeah.
where you just you let it rip at the very end. That always impresses me, especially when you see it live. I think the first time I saw you live, I was like, "How did you do that?" And you said, "I just do it," and that just impressed the heck out of me.
That sounds like me. Yeah.
What is your process of writing lyrics like? Do you tend to have more of the storytelling art of it, kind of you try to tell fabricated stories? You try to pull from your own life. I don't know. How do you do that?
Well, it's really so that's tough because I mean, essentially, it's a little bit different every time because I listen to so many different types of music, and I pay attention to different things different things that stand out to me about different styles and their writing. Because if you take a set of lyrics to a classic country song and try to do them over a metal song, it may not work. So, but I am always trying to kind of, oh man, I'm losing my train of thought big time here. I'm sorry. Anyway, I write generally from a personal standpoint. Generally speaking, that's kind of my baseline. Something that I always kind of liked, a little piece of advice from, I was listening to an interview with Justin Townes Earl one time, who was Steve Earle's son, and he was saying that the one thing he took away from his dad was something like he would always tell him, write about what you know. And I think that to a certain point has really helped me to ground myself in something and say, okay, I can write about this because I know it and I understand it. So it's easier for me to get something substantial out of it. But then I also like to just kind of, sometimes I'll listen to something and I just think that sounds cool. Like I just sometimes want to write nonsense. So sometimes I just kind of write nonsense, but usually a lot of times what really happens is I'll kind of just stream of consciousness, write things as they come to me. And then later I'll be able to sort of piece together what it meant from my subconscious. But it's always a little bit different because I'm always kind of intrigued by different things at different times. And it depends on when I finally get either the time or the inspiration to write something down. With what I've been into at that point in time is what's going to reflect a little bit more at that time when I'm writing. So yeah, it's very all over the place.
Your new album, Person to Person, first off, wonderful job on that. At the time of recording this, you released it a couple weeks ago, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. First off, the cover art. Can you explain kind of what the process behind the cover art was? Like, did you guys come up with that? Was it like a different artist that came that and like didn't have anything to do with the music, or was it something specifically made for it? I don't know. What's the background on that?
Eric, you want to take this one?
Yeah. I had an idea. I had an idea, and we were of sort of. If you haven't seen the photo, it's of two mannequins facing each other. And I just sort of had the idea that I had wanted to do something with mannequins for a long time because I find them creepy and weird and strange to look at, especially when they're not wearing any clothes. That's much worse. And we had been just sort of messing around with the idea of mannequins for a video that now we have no idea when we'll ever be able to shoot. But so we had the mannequins, and then we settled on the name Person to Person pretty late, and then it just seemed like it fit both all of those ideas like sort of fit together in a way that made some amount of sense. So I took the photo just backstage, just sort of out back where my dad works. We just took a bunch of photos of mannequins. It was very weird. And then I did the editing for most. Yeah, I did the editing for most of it. I sort of did a bunch of random stuff that is not worth getting into. But the paint strokes on there were done by a photographer who we worked with before named Sarah Babin, who had I'd seen her. I had like 2 classes with her in college, and then I followed her on Instagram, and she just inserts like layers of paint strokes in these images in a way that they go behind and above things in a really interesting way. And we like that. We worked with her before just taking our photos, but we didn't want it to be a photo of us on the cover of the album. Not again. That seemed kind of dumb. So we enlisted her to do that, and she did that, and it looked good. And then we finished it, and then I uploaded the album, and I don't know how to end this.
No, that's a great way to end. I was wondering that because I like it, like the style and everything. You did a really good job on it, man. Before we hop into like kind of music, just really quick, I don't know if anybody's watched your YouTube channel or like scrolled your Instagram, like TV or anything like that, but the promotional stuff you did for this album is quite great. The announcement was probably my favorite of you guys announcing the announcement. So we'll pop up a little clip here without any sound while people are watching. But like, you guys have a lot of have a great sense of humor and everything. But the announcement stuff, well, whose idea was that?
Mostly Eric, right?
Mostly, yeah.
I wrote it and I made the video, but I think the idea for doing a political campaign was like one of yours a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was my
true.
idea a long time ago. But then
Yeah.
y'all, I put the seed out, and then y'all did all the rest of the work.
But yeah, I wrote it. I wrote it, and then one of those other videos is just on our account. It's just something I made for a college course.
Yeah.
I did not put it up there.
Happened to
Julian put it up
peacefully. I put it on the page because I thought it was hilarious.
But yeah,
As far as kind of like the songs and the album and everything, was there any sort of difference in the writing process from the other albums or anything? That it stayed pretty consistent? Or are these songs you had for a long time or anything? But I don't know. Can you tell me a little bit about the writing process for this album specifically?
This was definitely I'll just say, we put way more. I feel like we ended up, because of that, putting much more time and effort into the process. And then also, there are some things that having Greg as the producer changed the, like, not the baseline writing process, but the kind of final changes. There were a few things that he tweaked or asked us to tweak that we then took it upon ourselves to work with. But that was a huge, not huge, but it was big enough.
Huge.
It was pretty big.
Yeah, it helped for sure.
Yeah. But pretty collaborative.
Yeah, he really helped with like trimming a lot of the fat and making sure that everything like locked up in a way that made sense. Probably would have been 4 minutes longer of an album or something.
Something like that.
Greg. There would have been a lot more parts where it would have been a much more boring album. There would have been a few songs with just kind of waiting for it to end or something. So yeah, Greg definitely helped with that.
Greg's cool.
Thank you guys again for being with me, and I know we're in a weird situation right now with this whole virus thing, but if anybody wants to kind of hear what's going on with you guys, where can people find you on social media?
It's mainly just a lot of the stuff is through Instagram. So it's at blue.frequency, or you can like us on Facebook.
Yeah, we're more active on Instagram.
Yeah, we're way more active on Instagram than we are on Facebook. So probably, Instagram. So that's at blue.frequency.
And we DM us and stuff. We are good about answering DMs and stuff. So, yeah.
Heard that. Yeah. And again, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I really do appreciate it. I was very excited to talk to you guys. Real quick before we go, I ask all my guests before I go. I do a movie show every single week at Studio 67 called Big Bang Cinema. I love movies. I love all the arts and everything, and I find that usually musicians have a soft spot for cinema too. I was just wondering, what's your favorite movie? Each one of you.
Ooh.
It's a big question. That one
Not a
usually
question.
trips people up.
Answer.
Eric, do you want to go first? I feel like Eric probably has a favorite movie.
I like Rushmore by Wes Anderson.
Smart answer.
Yeah.
Mine is There Will Be Blood.
Mine is Good Will Hunting.
Oh God, I don't know.
My second favorite is Austin Powers. If you want to
Which
know
Austin Powers?
All of them.
All
I
of
don't know. They're all the same movie.
Second one's a carbon copy.
Okay.
You gotta have a list in your head ready to go.
I don't
man.
have a list.
You never know when you're going to be asked.
Yeah. So
It's Citizen Kane.
No,
Shrek. It's Shrek.
I
Don't
would-
let him lie to you.
maybe the one that I've seen the most. I've seen a lot of High School Musical. Living my
Right.
yeah, but I don't know. Yeah,
Norbit.
Shawshank Redemption used to come on TV all the time. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I love to watch that scene where
It
Andy
sounds like-
escapes.
Sounds like your favorite movie is just whatever somebody puts on in front of you.
I mean, there are definitely bad movies. Let's not.
Thanks to Blue Frequency for sitting down with me and talking all about their music. If you guys want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashComCollege, or you can find us on Instagram at Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.